What's up, everybody? Brett here, and I'm back today playing some more Total War Warhammer 2. This time it's going to be me playing. My opponent is Calstorm. I'm going to be playing as Norsca. He's going to be playing as the followers of Nagash. We're on the Sea of Chaos Isle, a unique map with a unique terrain feature here. There's a giant impassable block of ice right in the center. So I felt really comfortable with bringing a rush-style Norscan build. And if you count them, I've got 1, 2, 3 mammoths. I've got Wulfric here. I've got the Soul Crusher, the Regiment of Renown, with his Enrage ability giving him 44% ward save. And I also have the Warshrine, something you never see. He's got an ability that gives plus 10 leadership in an AoE, a pretty huge one. And he also has the ability to give a unit fire damage as well as make it unbreakable. I've got a couple units of Skin Wolves here marching up ahead of the army. I've got a few Marauder Spearmen to make up my core, as well as the Regiment of Renown, the Icehorn Marauders. They're immune to psychology, they have perfect vigor, and they're going to beat down pretty much any skeleton unit on this side of the battlefield. Our opponent here has the King Nakesha Scorpion Legion with their poison damage out on the flanks, and just a good mix of Tomb Guards with Halberd and Spearmen. That's going to be pretty good against the large units that I've brought. But I also have the Famir Balefiend with the Lore of Fire. I've got the Flaming Sword and Piercing Bolts, and fire damage and AoE damage is great versus the Tomb Kings, and we'll see whether or not I'm able to make good use of that. My opponent is sitting in a pretty static formation. I chose to overload one flank heavily, forcing my opponent to use his slow-moving infantry and move them around. And here's the first part where I'm going to be able to check to see just how much my opponent's paying attention, because I'm going to drop a Burning Bolt right on top of these Tomb Guard with Halberds, and it is going to be devastating. That's half their HP in one cast. Meanwhile, the Casket of Souls has been chipping away at my units, up to 20 kills, but my infantry is such low quality. The Mammoths are going to be getting in here, and of course these units are anti-large, but on the charge, if they're not braced, it doesn't matter. The Mammoths are going to charge in. You can see here, these Tomb Guards are already kind of wavering. And I'm going to be doing my best at certain points to push my Mammoths forward. I've sent in my Skin Wolves to shut down these archers. They're scattering. There wasn't enough back here to protect them. This Hyro Titan, you know, he's going to be able to smack around some Skin Wolves. It's not a battle you get to see very often. Actually one that he can pretty much win. He's already killed 2 right off the bat. And I am going to be trapped here now. Arkin the Black on his pretty sweet chariot that kind of flies above the battlefield. He's going to be using his huge Skeleton Warrior summon to tie down my Skin Wolves, and they're going to get stuck. So I'm trying to be maneuverable here with some of my infantry. I've managed to get the Spearmen up and around. They're going to be suffering from Soul Blight, so they're losing weapon damage and armor. But I'm trying to tie down this Hyro Titan. And you can see here the pathing is pretty garbage. I tried to pull them up and around, but they just kind of got stuck. And in this entire unit, only about 6 guys are currently attacking the Hyro Titan. I've got my Mammoths up in the back. I tried to bring the Soul Crusher in here to support. Another Burning Bolt coming down and decimating the Tomb Guard, the Skeleton Archers, and the Warriors who got stuck. My opponent kind of wisely is chasing off one of my Skin Wolves with Arkin, while the other group has rallied, and he's managed to secure his archers. They're still sitting on full ammunition, and they can be absolutely deadly against my Mammoths if I let them just sit and shoot. And you can see they're pouring fire right now into the Soul Crusher, who has already used his ward save. The Ushapti summon has gone off in the back here on these Marauder Spearmen. Not the best target, and throughout the battle I think I was using Flaming Sword on them and causing them to have great damage. At this point I think I'm pulling my Warshrine back. I'm trying to give that unbreakable status to, I think, this unit here. You'll see I'm trying to cast, but what I didn't realize in the battle, because no one ever takes this unit, I just totally forgot, the cast range on it is like 25 meters, which is like the shortest cast range in the game, perhaps. You have to be standing right next to them to infer that buff. But the Skin Wolves have finally come back. Arkin's going to leave the main battle to try and come and deal with them. But Soul Blight once again going off, lowering my armor. Armor is not really the strongest suit of my composition anyway. I mean, my units are just not very heavily armored. They're just here to hold the line so that the Mammoths can damage sponge for everything else. Now, pouring as many arrows into the Soul Crusher as my opponent did and not killing it is just such a huge advantage for me. Wulfric was able to get into the back here. We're going to be fighting the Hyro Titan. He's using his laser beams, but it's not going to be enough. Wulfric was able to use the Hunter of Champions. I believe he may have used it already on the Hyro Titan. The Liber Mortis is the only thing keeping it fighting right now, that 44% physical resistance, plus a little bit of leadership. Otherwise, it would have crumbled off the battlefield already. There was a point in the battle as well where I was able to use Sea Fang down a line of infantry, but I was hesitant to use it. If you saw in the beginning of the battle, my opponent had a very straight line of infantry. I thought about checking him with that Sea Fang, which of course goes in a very linear fashion, but you never know the skill level of your opponent. If they're able to just easily dodge, you can waste a Sea Fang. So I try to hold it until my front line is engaged. It was just overloading the flanks here led for some very unorthodox battle lines, and I was pretty much just unable, as the Hyro Titan goes down, I was pretty much unable to get a nice straight line for Sea Fang, so it ended up not being the most useful ability this game. And there we go, the Hunter of Champions is going to be lowering his speed, going to be lowering his, what else does it lower? It lowers a ton of stuff. Lord. Armor and melee defense by a lot, actually. And that's going to make him a very poor duelist. And with just about everything left on the battlefield crumbling, I still have all three of my mammoths still alive. The Soul Crusher absorbed over 10,000 damage for me that battle and still was fighting. It was a sweet short game. Very fun. I understand why my opponent went with this type of build. If you have to fight straight marauders, the Tomb Guards can certainly do that. The Spearmen can hold them up. The Archers would have had a much better time had they been a bit better protected from the Skin Wolves. Had they been safe for the first 30 seconds of the battle, they would have been able to fire much more of their ammunition, perhaps even able to put down the Soul Crusher, and maybe even the War Mammoth as well, leaving me with very few tools to destroy the rest of the infantry. But I was pretty much able to run wild. My infantry held and absorbed a ton of damage, which is really their main purpose. And the Premier Balefiend at the end was just there with his Sundering Armor and there to just cast fire-based spells whenever I needed it. 47 kills on him is not bad. And Arkan really didn't get his value that game. And I would say nothing really got its value except perhaps the Casket of Souls, which, if you do it right, I mean, the Casket of Souls and the Hyro Titan both give improved recharge rates to your casters. So I think that was probably the strategy behind these two picks, as opposed to perhaps maybe more infantry, more and different monstrous units. Maybe the idea was just to spam out as many spells with Arkan as possible. We saw the Soul Blight going off repeatedly, basically just lowering the armor of my entire army, it felt like, for the entire battle. But, if Arkan is spending his time chasing off Skin Wolves, he's not really in the battle participating and able to get those kills. He has to be in melee for his, I think it's called his Tomb Sword, or something to that effect, to recharge. That's what gives him all of those skeleton summons. And if he's not in melee, he's not getting any additional summons of those skeleton warriors. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me today. It was a fun battle. I was feeling very rush-centric when I played a couple multiplayer games that day, and I was having a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys stick around, watch some more replays. I've got a new computer that I'm building right now that will be amazing for Total Warhammer 2. Look for the video on that. I'm going to be at least introducing the components, and then I might have another video just showing it off once it's done. But I'm going to be pretty proud of it, and it's going to allow me to do Total War Warhammer 2 campaigns, which is something that I've always wanted to do, and it's going to allow me to bring you guys some really up-close, high-fidelity Warhammer battles, which is all I want to do. I want to zoom in, I want to go slow-mo, I want to watch the stuff. It's just, unfortunately, my current setup is not quite strong enough to record and do those things at the same time, but my new computer certainly will be, so look forward to that. So alright guys, without any further ado, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Take care.